Okay, in this video we're going to look at a really simple but practical use of a macro. We've already talked about the basics of what a macro is, what it does, and how you create one. And we've talked about how to save your macros. Now we're going to just create one. And we'll go back to our regular kitchen remodel cost worksheet for this. And let's say that this was a contractor and the accounting department used this worksheet over and over. Every time they worked on a kitchen and remodeled it, the accounting department needed to put new quantities in for these and maybe even new costs. But for the purpose of this, let's just say new quantities. And they didn't want to have to recreate this worksheet all the time. And they could just copy it and then delete these out every time. But that takes, 20 or 30 seconds depending on how fast the person is. And if they could do it in one simple click of a button, then they've just saved that time every time they have to create this worksheet. So let me walk you through creating a macro that will recreate this sort of in a template form. So you start on your developer tab and you go to record macro. Click on that. We're going to name it. Let's just call this kitchen remodel costs worksheet. You want your names and your descriptions to be descriptive so that you and other people can find your macros and know what they're for. Okay, so we're going to do a shortcut key. Let's call this Control R for remodel. We'll save it in this workbook and then we'll describe it. We'll just say kitchen cost template. Okay. Kitchen remodel cost template. Click OK. So it says stop recording up here. That's how we know that the macro is recording. And now we can go through our steps. So the first thing we would do, of course, if we wanted a new copy of this, would be to go down to the tab, right click, select move or copy. It's going to give us our little dialog box. We'll just say move to the end. So we're going to make a copy of this at the end of these lists of tabs. And we're going to click create a copy. Otherwise it will just move it. So this is going to create another copy of it. Click OK. And now we're on an additional copy of it. Now we can go in and remove our quantities. Just highlight those and click delete. And you'll notice that our totals still have the formulas in them. You can see in the formula bar, but because they don't have quantities to multiply by the cost, they're just showing up blank, which is perfect. And we'll just leave our cursor right here in the quantity column so that it's ready to take entries, and we're finished. We can go to stop recording. And now if I'm in a blank workbook and I click Control R, it's going to create a new workbook for me. It's going to bring this whole worksheet in there. It's going to delete out all the quantities, and it's going to drop my cursor right into quantities so I can just start putting in quantities. Okay? So now if you do 20 of these a day, every time you start a new one, all you do is hit Control R. If you want another one, Control R, Control R, Control R. And see, now I'm on number 8. So I've created a whole bunch of these just with one quick click of a button. Okay, and I realize that's a simple procedure and a simple example, but I just wanted to give you a really accessible example so that you could see how that works using an everyday type of a situation.